Hi, I'm Luis Barbosa, Solution Architect Manager here at Blue Orange Digital. And today we're going to talk about Data Fabric, which is the new integrated product for data analysis for Microsoft. So Microsoft tried to integrate multiple product lines like Azure, and the main mechanism within Azure is Data Factory, right? And then you produce Fabric, similar names. And on the end user side, have Office 365 with multiple applications, including Power Apps and other tables mechanisms like Dynamic CRM and so on. And then in the other end of the data analysis, you have all the reporting and BI tools, most significantly Power BI, right? So let me share my screen. So we're going to see here how Microsoft integrate all their data products within a single umbrella called Data Fabric, integrating Azure services, more notably Data Factory, and all its related services from Azure, like data engineering with Synapse, data science, warehousing, and real-time analysis with stream of data, with reporting tools and other data transformation services as Power BI, and collaboration product or product line as of 365, including Power Apps and Dynamics 360 and other structured data and unstructured data mechanism. All of these integrated data, they called OneLake, so you can visualize regardless of what product line you're working with, if it's a collaboration product line, if it's a reporting product line or cloud service as Azure product line, you can see all this kind of data as a unified vision, and not only from Microsoft product, integration with data source from different cloud vendors is also supported by OneLake. So we're gonna discuss the challenge and the capabilities of all these. Definitely one challenge for Microsoft is to integrate features or products within products line that do similar things. So some of the data ingestion and data transformation is already available in Power BI mechanism and also in Data Factory. Within the Fabric umbrella, Microsoft tried to offer these two options as within more or less the same goals, but for different audience, right? If it's someone more used to Power BI and Power Query, for instance, which is the language used to transform data in Power BI, he or she will have access to this kind of data ingestion mechanism. But if it's someone coming more from Azure World and Data Factory, they would have the usual data factor mechanism and also additional support for Spark and even Databricks processing. So we're going to see the difference between those two. OneLake works either on a lakehouse structure or a full warehouse structure. We're also going to see that within a very simple example. Our example going to be something like this, something as simple as have an operational table on Power Apps, and then integrate that to Factory using the Synapse Link service. So they create what they call shortcuts from the operational tables into the Data Fabric helm, and from there we can have it available on lake houses for this operational table, and from there you can transform those using pipelines or data flows, as we're going to discuss. And the result of this transformed data, ingested data, are going to be available either in a data warehouse or a lake house as analytical tables that can be ingested from reporting tools, mainly on the Microsoft Word, Power BI, right? So let's try our simple example here. We're going to start at the Power Apps side. Within Power Apps, we have the possibility of creating multiple tables. I have quite some examples here. Let's create our own sample, starting with a CSV as baseline. So the data that we're using example is something as simple as a list of cloud vendors, their service, and the date that each service was released. And throughout our pipeline of transformation, we're going to do a very simple transformation, which is going to be the creation of additional column with the days, how many days each product was released based on its release date, right? So let's create our table. Once it's created, let's publish it, publish within the Power Apps Helm, and all these collaboration tables and data structure, they are calling Dataverse. So every table from Power Apps or Dynamic CRM, they're calling Dataverse. Let's publish. And once it's published, you can make it available into Databricks Factory through the Synapse link. I guess it's finalizing the publication. And you can, as it publishes, you can move it to Azure Synapse Link, which is the mechanism that do this integration between this Dataverse world. Oh, here it is. It worked. And you can have the replication actual shortcuts or links from all these tables in this Dataverse Helm from the data fabric perspective, right? So I have quite a few tables, take a while to load, don't really have to wait it. Yeah, but anyhow, I have it here. So our table should be replicating. Yeah, it's replicating already. All right, and within Data Factory, we organize project into workspace. I can have this workspace here. Within this workspace, I have the visibility of this lakehouse, and this lakehouse in particular is a lakehouse that refers to all these tables that were replicated from the Dataverse, right? So I have a bunch of different tables. Right? I have all these different tables. Let me check the one that's going to use it. Yeah, we have it here. Let me do a little trick here to get the full name of the table, because the name of the lakehouse is quite extensive. So as I don't do any typos, I'm gonna copy the table name from here. Yes, this one. So yeah, let me save this. All right, so what I have so far mainly is this lakehouse, right? And if you notice, lakehouse has two sub-elements. The first one is the semantic layer. Semantic layer is quite interesting because it's an abstraction in which you can have all the data objects, data tables, or different elements, how they correlate, and additional methods and calculation that you want to throw, like aggregation, summarization, so on, that simplify the process of visualizing that data on the reporting system. You can minimize any additional calculation in the report system and centralize data relation and some summarization and calculations or simple calculation on the semantic layer. Another thing that Lakehouse layer offers is what they call SQL Analytics Endpoint, which simulate or create an abstraction of a full warehouse on a data lake service. So you can run queries, SQL transformation, and analysis as it were a full warehouse, right? Which is quite interesting. So you always have this decision where to store your analytical data, either on a lakehouse that is provided by regular processing files or data files, and on top of it, there is an abstraction of warehouse layer, right? Can query and consume data as it were a warehouse. Or if you work with only structured data and are more used in a team that works mainly with SQL transformation, SQL analysis, you can definitely work directly with a warehouse. So have this option of storing analytical objects as warehouse objects or lakehouse, right? At this point, we already have the lakehouse for the operational data that are coming from Power Apps, right? Then we can create another lakehouse or a warehouse to store our analytical tables, right? So we can call this the analytical lakehouse, right? From here, I could create manually my table. I don't really need to. I can do it programmatically using some scripts. So anyhow, let it finish its processing. Yeah, so I could create manually my tables here. I don't really need to. Let's go back to our workspace, and then I can show which are the ways, the three main ways that you can do that data transformation, right? So the two main ways, actually we're gonna discuss, we're gonna be three, but the two main ways are Dataflow Gen 2. So Dataflow, it's a mechanism it's already available from Power BI. So if you're used to ingest and transform data to Power BI directly, it already offers Dataflow. Dataflow provides Power Query support, so you have complex queries with that syntax. So if you're used to this kind of a mechanism, that's fully available here now on Fabric, right? I'm going to show more or less as it is. So it's a visual environment when you create Power Queries, something as an experience as working with Access, SQL, or even Excel spreadsheets, right? But anyhow, you can ingest data from multiple sources, different cloud vendors, directly from Dataverse, or from lakehouse structure as you have it here. So for instance, our operational lakehouse is this one. From here, we could select all the tables that we want to transform and create visually and a little bit programmatically with very little code our data transformation, right? So I'm going to cancel here. I'm going to use actually a different option that I want to show to you guys. So the second option is going to be pipeline. Pipeline is a mechanism that is for someone that are more familiar with data factory word coming from Azure, right? So pipelines, and I say that is three options because pipeline actually offer two different options in terms of data ingestion and data transformations. So the native one, it's what they call Activities, which is the traditional way that we have it available in Azure and Data Factory. It's taking forever here to close. All right, I have it closed finally, right? So we have the option of data flow or data pipeline, as I said. And data pipeline is interesting. Let's use the standard name. So pipeline is quite interesting because it also not only working as a data transformation, just a mechanism, it actually works as a data orchestration piece, up to the point that from a pipeline, it's possible to call different elements, including data flow, right? So as I was saying, the two main options besides calling data flow and pipelines, it's creating the whole processing mechanism through what they call activities. So there's an activity to copy data and do punctual transformation. There are activities related to lookup of relational data, run simple scripts, run sort procedure, create the whole program transformation logic with variables, conditions, loops, access public available sites, and also creating hierarchy of pipelines, right? One pipeline call the other, and you create a whole hierarchy of pipelines. And lastly, integrate with different Microsoft products like Office 365, Teams, Databricks, and so on. So in the end, the example that I'm going to use as the practice here is, for me, the most powerful option. Is this option here, working with notebooks? For me, is the most powerful one because of two things. First of all, it's very flexible. You can code whatever data ingestion or transformation logic that you want using code, either Python, R, Scala, or even SQL. And also, it's very scalable, as these notebooks actually process as Spark notebooks running on Databricks clusters. So what you can do here, before coming back to our pipeline, let's create a notebook. So we're going to create a notebook. Not too much things open here. Let's try to close some of this stuff. And we can create our notebook. Right. So as I said, it's a Spark notebook. It can work with PySpark, R, Scala, SQL. So let's start with something as simple as trying to query our operational data. Let's see if it works right away. That's why I want to copy the path for the operational table. The first execution take a little longer because it has to spin up the clusters. So it can take actually a couple minutes. Let's hope it's a little faster than that. Let me change to another notebook that's already connected with the Lakehouse. If it works. All right, so yeah, these notebooks are already attached to our Lakehouse. It's fine, so we can query our data. I have many different columns here, but for us, probably some of those that it's important to us is the vendor name, the service name, the date that the service was released, and we want to calculate the very simple transformation that I want to do here to calculate how many days the service was released. So the transformation would be something as simple as this. So it's great to replace a new analytical table based on this query here from the operational table. In the analytical table, we're going to leave on a new lakehouse that you created called Anna Lakehouse. Remember that? And we can call that table whatever, like let's say cloud vendors, analytical, whatever you want to call it. Let's test it here on the notebook. If it's working fine, you can connect then our notebook to the pipeline. All right, it seems that worked. If you want to double check, I can create a query directly into the analytical table. Let's see if it brings our data in our additional column. Yeah, it seems that worked, and we should have it here somewhere. Our additional column, which was, yeah, days release, it's here. All right. Okay, so let's go back to our workspace and notice again that we have our analytical lakehouse and operational lakehouse. Within the analytical lakehouse, we have our analytical tables, the semantic layer for it, right? So if you wanna check the semantic layer, you can create a new one or open the standard one. Go back on another screen. Yeah, so for instance, our table, analytical table that's created here, let's add that to the semantic layer. And again, you can enhance our semantic layer as we wish with additional calculation, additional aggregation that would be available to the final ingestion for the reporting tool, on our case, Power BI, right? So you could see our semantic layer and manage it from here, manage it from here. So yeah, it's included. We could play around and see our semantic model. Yeah, we can have a design, integration of different tables, again, create additional fields, additional calculation, but you don't have to do it right now. The last thing that I want to do with you guys is to create a report that you're going to ingest directly data from the analytical tables, or more specifically from the semantic layer that runs on top of the analytical table, right? So here we have a very simple table. We could start with like a bar chart or whatever, that you could do something as simple as aggregate all the cloud vendors and count their services. Let's do something this. And again, within our data, I don't think we have many data. Yeah. Have very few samples here. Anyhow, we could use a bar chart to compare, or if you wanna see the proportion of the number of services, you have to analyze as a pie chart. Probably would be a good analysis here. So for again our simple data sample here, AWS has most of the service, Google the other large half, and a smaller slice for Microsoft. But again, as only the sample data that we had here. Folks, that's pretty much it. Again, it's a very simple example, but it was a good opportunity for us to discuss multiples, mechanism and feature, and how different product lines of Microsoft integrate within a single vision, right? You could use data from the Office 365, have it available throughout regular Azure subs under the new umbrella of Fabric, and ingest it into a different product line, Power BI. So we use these different product lines seamlessly, right? So as a single data integration mechanism. And of course, all that we did within Microsoft environment, but of course, we can always integrate with on-premise data, different cloud vendors data that's fully available. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much.